Well, I'm currently tumbling down the rabbit hole that is vintage timepieces, and it's fantastic. The explosion of options available to you when you enter the vintage market is seemingly infinite. I've recently acquired a few vintage pieces, and I'm going to review them in the coming weeks. Today we're going to take a look at my new 80s aquatic themed Breitling Tabarly. I don't know about you guys, but my tastes in watches are extremely fluid, and I may like something one day and not like it the next month or week, and vice versa. And that's the beauty of this hobby. There's always something to, at least temporarily, satisfy your current interests. Wristwatches have been a part of daily life for over a century, and what is in vogue changes through the years based on the style of that era. Rather than limiting yourself to the styles of today, your preferences may be more aligned with something from the past. Today I want to show you this Breitling Tabarly quartz watch from the 1980s, reference 80770. This reference was designed and tested by world-famous yachtsman Eric Tabarly. Tabarly was a famous French yachtsman that won the single-handed transatlantic race twice in 1964 and 1976, and was swept overboard in 1998 and was lost at sea. This watch was made in both men's size at 35mm and lady size at 28mm. And there are a few different styles, including ones with a tachometer bezel, others with a compass bezel, and also this one with a diver bezel. And some even have removable diver cages that cover the dial, similar to the Cartier Pasha. I bought this watch used on Chrono24. There are usually about 5 to 10 of these watches available from around the world at any given time in various conditions. It's very hard to find information about these references, and I don't see any real videos about this watch on YouTube, so I'm happy to put this out into the world for anybody else who might be interested in this watch. The dimensions of the case are 35mm in diameter, 42.5mm lug to lug, and 9.6mm in thickness. Like most vintage watches, at 35mm, it is a small watch by today's standards, but when you start wearing it, it starts to feel like a normal size, and actually when you switch back to a 41mm or a 42, it honestly seems like a monstrosity on your wrist. I like the case a lot, and it fits nicely on my 17cm wrist, particularly with this amazing bracelet. The case is fully brushed, but the sides of this beefy bezel are not brushed. The bezel surrounding the dial is a matte silver gray with minute hash marks from 0 to 15, and then every 5 minutes. The bezel is a unidirectional 60-click rotating bezel with angular beveling and lovely protruding gold screws for grip and to secure the bezel to the case. I've always loved the way Breitling pulls no punches in securing the bezel down. It really drives home the feel that this is a tool watch. Also, the gold-plated screws just remind me of the screws on an old diver helmet, which perfectly sets the nautical theme of this watch. The caseback is solid with text showing that it's water resistant and was designed and tested by Eric Tabarly. There's a screw-down crown at the 3 o'clock position that is signed with the Breitling B logo. The water resistance of this piece is 200 meters, but I'm not sure of the water resistance currently, given it's 40 years old, and it's not something that I would swim with. The dial is a fantastic iridescent blue with sunburst pattern that springs to life in sunlight. Gold-plated octagonal hour markers surround the dial inset slightly from the minute track at the outer edge. Inward-pointing arrow hour markers at the 6, 9, and 12, and there is a gold-colored date window at the 3 o'clock, which matches nicely. For text on the dial, you have the Breitling logo at 12 and the word quartz, and also the Eric Tabarly signature at the 6. The hour and minute hands are sword-shaped and gold-colored, with a cream internal color, and the seconds hand is a thin gold hand. The crystal protecting the dial, I believe, is a mineral crystal, and actually has a large Breitling logo and sector markers imprinted on it that I find really cool and unique. The Breitling logo kind of hides the center stack of the hands, so when you look at the dial, you see the hands counting the time coming not from the center stack, but from the Breitling logo. The integrated bracelet is really a highlight of this watch. Of course, this is very clearly the same shape and style of the AP Royal Oak bracelet, so there was a bit of borrowing by Breitling here, but I think it fits perfectly with this watch. This bracelet is obviously not as polished as a new AP, let's say, but with the number of beveled edges and those small connecting links, when you roll your wrist, the light play with this bracelet is fantastic, even with over 40 years of wear. The bracelet starts at 22mm at the lugs and tapers down to 16 at the clasp. The signed clasp is a pretty standard trifold clasp with fold-over lock, and it has a healthy 7 micro adjustment positions that can be adjusted using a spring bar tool. The The links are really thin and low profile, so this bracelet fits snugly on the wrist and looks really elegant and sporty at the same time. This bracelet hugs every contour of your wrist. The watch weighs in at only 79 grams with the bracelet size to my 17cm wrist. The movement on this watch is the ESA 965312 quartz movement. It includes hacking seconds and a quickset date complication. I'm really enjoying this watch. At only 35mm, I had to get used to the size, but now that I am, when I go back to a larger sport piece, it just seems outright bulbous on my wrist. I'm really starting to warm up to these svelte vintage case dimensions. Regarding the bracelet, while definitely reminiscent of the AP Royal Oak, one of my grail watches that I can't afford at the moment, I'm really digging it. It plays very nicely with the light even at this age, and is a distinctive style in the watch market. I really like the warm colors on this watch, and the interplay between the yellow, gold, and blue colors delivers a very nautical vibe. I also like that this is quartz, and it's very low maintenance. My watch collection at this point is into the double digits, and so most of my mechanical pieces are about 1 to 2 days in the past when I return to wear them, so it's refreshing to be able to just pick this watch up and go. As mentioned before, there are typically around a dozen of these watches available on the secondary market in various conditions, and the prices range from about $1,000 to $2,000 depending on the specific model type and the quality. So far I'm really happy with this piece, and honestly when I put it on it sets a good mood for the day. Well, that's it for this one. I'm really happy to share this new purchase with you all, and let me know in the comments your experience with the vintage watch market. And please feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the content. See you in the next one.